Tomorrow, February 17, 2026, indirect negotiations resume in Geneva between the United States and Iran on Tehran's nuclear program. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi leads his delegation, while the US side includes Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Senior Advisor Jared Kushner. Oman mediates following the initial round in Muscat on February 6th. With US aircraft carriers deployed in the region, Trump's warnings of very traumatic consequences if no deal materializes, and Iran's recent signals of flexibility on uranium enrichment, these talks represent a critical juncture. Diplomacy under intense pressure, where success could avert escalation, but failure risks military confrontation. Iran possesses approximately 10% of global proven oil reserves, and the Strait of Hormuz handles about 21% of daily seaborne oil trade. Disruptions could drive global prices up 20 to 30%. US sanctions have cut Iran's oil exports by over 90% since 2018, driving inflation near 40% and economic strain. Strategically, the US has surged military assets, including a second carrier strike group, to back demands for limits on enrichment, centrifuges, and stockpiles. Iran holds enough enriched uranium for multiple weapons per IAEA data, while past 2025 strikes degraded facilities but left capabilities intact. US seeks zero or near zero enrichment. Iran offers compromises like diluting 60% stock if sanctions ease, but rejects broader demands on missiles or proxies. The approach blends maximum pressure with diplomatic openings. US leverage includes military positioning, Trump's deadlines, and historical strikes to compel concessions. Witkoff and Kushner bring a deal-making focus, emphasizing economic incentives like mining, aviation, or oil deals for Iran. Tehran arrives with genuine initiatives for a fair agreement, signaling willingness to cap or dilute enrichment levels in exchange for verifiable sanctions relief. Oman's indirect format avoids direct confrontation while testing positions. US insists on comprehensive curbs. Iran prioritizes nuclear-only scope and mutual economic benefits. Supporters view the talks as proof of Trump's pressure succeeding, forcing Iran to the table after years of defiance and last year's conflict. They argue military deterrence enables real concessions. Critics contend mismatched demands, US zero enrichment stance versus Iran's insistence on enrichment rights, make breakthroughs improbable, with threats potentially entrenching hardliners. Iranian officials emphasize no submission to threats, but openness, if sincerity shown on sanctions. Experts note cautious optimism from Iran's dilution signals, but describe a very difficult path, with short-term technical steps more feasible than comprehensive deals. Roots trace to the 2018 JCPOA withdrawal, sparking sanctions and Iran's enrichment escalations. 2025 US-Israeli strikes set back centrifuges by about 40%, but program persists. Talks restarted early 2026 via Oman, with February 6th session deemed positive enough to continue. Araghchi's pre-talks IAEA meeting focuses on compliance. Possible outcomes include modest progress, for example, enrichment caps, dilution of high-level stock, and partial sanctions tweaks for economic sectors. It may also result to a stalemate or breakdown where there may be no agreement, leading to renewed threats and even potential US-Israeli action, or even limited interim steps like technical monitoring, prisoner swaps, or non-nuclear economic talks. Then the less likely is framework deal, that is phased curbs for phased relief, though zero enrichment gap looms large. But we have three questions remaining. Does Geneva produce even incremental wins to build momentum? Will failure prompt strikes given US deployments and Trump's rhetoric? How might outcomes ripple to oil markets, proxies, or Iran's internal stability? The coming days will clarify if diplomacy advances or the brink sharpens.